Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective creates the biggest change in our life. This is true not just in theory, but also in real lived experiences. Take Oprah Winfrey, one of the most successful women in the world, once admitted that she starved herself for nearly 5 months to just fit a standard of beauty. On live television, she wheeled out a wagon carrying all the weight she had lost. But within a short period of time, she had gained it all back. Looking back, she said, "I thought I had failed. But what I didn't realize was that I was fighting a battle that I could never win. Because the problem wasn't just me. It was the way the world measures worth." And isn't this the truth? This isn't just Oprah's story. According to the World Health Organization, more than 2.5 billion adults worldwide are overweight, and nearly 890 million live with obesity. That's about 1 in 8 people on Earth. And it's not only adults, even children and teenagers are deeply affected by this. Studies show us that more than half of people with obesity report receiving shaming or inappropriate comments from their doctors, from the very people meant to help them. This shows us that this issue is not limited by age, gender, or even culture. It is global. Now, let me bring it closer to home with my invisible narrator. A dress. For years, trial rooms were basically Hunger Games. Me versus the dress. And usually, actually, mostly every time, the dress won. But every time the dress didn't fit, I didn't blame the fabric. I blamed myself. I deleted pictures, I laughed on the outside, but I questioned whether I belonged on the inside. And at one point, I even believed that rejection was about how I looked and not who I was. But think about it. No one looks at a hummingbird and says, "Sorry, you're too small, elephant's the standard." No one cancels the moon because it isn't perfectly round. Nature thrives in difference. Diversity is its beauty. So why do we deny ourselves the same grace? And this is why we need to shift the conversation. Because it's no more about fitting into a dress. It's about learning to care for your body in ways that support health and confidence. And maybe that's why almost 80% of the population start their new year with the same resolution: lose weight. Gyms are flooded, diet apps top the charts, and kale suddenly tastes better than it actually does. But by February, only 1% are still at it. Why? Because a wish without a plan remains just that, a wish. And when there is no strategy, failure starts to feel personal, when it really is universal. Think about it. Kids don't even notice their body until someone makes fun of them. And that is when the mirror changes from reflection into a weapon. And for so many teenagers, especially girls, that is where eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia creeps in. Not about food, but about shame, control. So maybe it isn't about chasing perfection, but about choosing a strategy by aligning our thoughts, our powers, and our decision into one clear goal. Because nothing motivates us like success. Even the smallest win sparks momentum. And that is why rewarding ourselves, it's not a weakness, it is a fuel. And at one point, I had to draw a line and say, tomorrow will not look like today. Not because I hated myself, but because I refused to stay stuck in someone else's story. So maybe that should be the tipping point for all of us. Not when the dress finally fits, but when the narrative finally changes. Today, there are countless diets, from Mediterranean to plant-based, from low-carb to intermittent fasting, and even intuitive eating. Some swear by apple cider vinegar shots and others by slim fast shakes. But the truth is, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. What really matters is finding a balance and learning to care for your body in ways that support health and confidence. The numbers on these tags, they only tell us a part of the story. The heavier burden is stigma. People with obesity face more than just health risk. They face constant judgments that breeds anxiety, low self-esteem, and even depression. Imagine being told directly or indirectly, day after day, that you are less. Over time, it erodes at our dignity and hope, and it makes reaching out for help even harder. Because once you expect disappointment, you stop reaching out. So what's the takeaway? You were never meant to just fit in. Not into a dress, not into an expectation, not into a mold created by anyone else. You were meant to thrive, to take up space, to honor your body. Not for how small it may be, not for how large it can be, but for how much life it carries. So the next time someone tells you to fit in, look them straight in the eye and say, I wasn't born to fit in, I was born to break seams. Thank you.